Now, this is part 3. If you're here after watching part 1 and part 2, wow, you are dedicated and I thank you. I don't know why you're still here. Watch something better. But if you are actually genuinely enjoying this, that's all I gotta say to you. This is Renegade Part 3, or me explaining my manga Part 3, or things about my manga / light novel that I'm writing Part 3. Today I'm doing my, can you see that? My domain idea. So, I didn't want to just do a Bankai domain expansion copy, but I did also have the idea of domains. But I was like, because I was reading this other manga, there's this, I can't remember what his is. I think I do still follow him. I hope I do. But his manga is called Bio, and he has biome expansions, and people will call him out for being like, oh, isn't that just domain expansions? But like the concept was actually different. That there was something different to it. And mine is actually different, and I've called it something else. I've called it an innate Naka domain. Now for those who, if you're new to this video, Naka is essentially my power system. It kind of functions kind of like energy, but it's the innate life energy of every single thing around you. From this table to my beads to my hands, you can see the what's called. If you have flow vision, you'll be able to see the innate energy of every single thing, to every little drop, like particle. Now, the whole concept of my domain essentially is, if you have the heightened understanding, so flow vision would kind of be a prerequisite for this. However, certain circumstances can lead to other people making domains without flow vision, essentially. Flow vision is where your senses are heightened to a point, what's called a physical pinnacle point at which you're able to then sense the Naka within everything around you, essentially, with the aid of your senses. Now, if you don't have flow vision, making a domain is kind of much harder, but it doesn't mean that you can't make a domain, essentially. Now, what I've called the domains in my manga light novel is gonna be like Shotoku Tenkai, essentially. Shotoku Ryoiki. Which, yes, I suppose Ryoiki Tenkai, domain expansion, you're copying. Look, there's only so much I can do, right? I might think of a different name, I might not. But hey, this is what I've settled on. Shotoku Ryoiki, which means innate domain. I might call it Shotoku Naka Ryoiki, but then that feels too long-winded, so I might just make up another word. Well, Naka isn't made up. Naka is actually an actual word. I don't remember what it means. I need to take more notes, but anyway, how this works. So how a domain would work essentially is you would how it would work if you were a flow vision user is if you had your complete awareness of all the Naka within a region, you could expand and flesh out your innate Naka. So you would use your technique, which is your Naka technique, which is stored in your hypothalamus. I also haven't explained that, haven't I? I might explain that in this video. So your innate technique is mapped in your hypothalamus essentially, and that's your Naka essentially kind of flows through your body, but is regulated through your hypothalamus as well. As your technique is stored within there, you would then be able to map out and what's called project out your Naka with your technique around a set commanded area of Naka. Now, the reach of this domain would kind of depend on the user's understanding of Naka, B, ability to manipulate Naka, and C, their ability to understand their own understanding of their technique essentially. Now, because the techniques kind of work kind of like fundamental energy, it would more be like understanding how the energy flows and how your energy could flow within your body. Because let's say someone had like fire Naka as opposed to someone with water Naka. If you understand like fundamentally like the laws of entropy and all that kind of stuff, and you just had a water user who just understand the basics of like heating and cooling water or something, or the basic flow of water, the one with the fire Naka would be able to win in a domain clash against the water Naka one essentially, because better understanding. So you've got 3 prerequisites. Now, once if you are able to expand your Naka within a set domain of Naka, you're essentially making a contract with the external Naka within the area, and that's when you're able to then put kind of like your binding vows with the Naka. So if you're so this is where it kind of gets a little convoluted. In order to make said domain, you also do need to connect your Soku with the soul of everything within that area, because everything also has Naka and everything also has Soku. Soku is the innate soul energy and individuality of everything around you, essentially. But there's also a collective voice of Soku, which is called the voice of the universe within the power system, essentially. So you're essentially kind of like bargaining, and if the bargain kind of works, and if your Soku is able to resonate, then you are able to expand your domain. So you kind of have like 4 different markers, which I try to make it complex so that not just because it seems ridiculous that one person is able to make a domain and another isn't. So there's a lot of prerequisites before you're able to actually expand a domain within this. So if you're able to synchronize your Soku frequency with the frequency of Soku around you, and also merge your Naka over the Naka within everything around you, then you are able to expand your domain. Now, your technique would work. Your technique would kind of like be your domain technique. The way it's amplified or the way it's kind of used within your domain is kind of up to you, but also depends on like your understanding. If you have poor understanding, but like some people are just naturally gifted with understanding like how their souls work, and because they have so much will, they're able to manifest much more Naka than others. So making a domain for certain people would be kind of easier. Like I have a character like Misaki who doesn't fully understand, like she fully understands how her power works, but she doesn't fully understand like Naka and Soku, but is able to make a domain kind of like on her first try, without proper understanding of like how souls work and everything. Whereas I have a character like Astra who's like worked for years in what's called the Sun's Inner Style. That's spoilers for season 4, but don't worry about that. And only after 6 years was he able to refine his domain to a point that is kind of like non-breakable. You know what I mean? Anywho, so within a set domain, you can have domain clashes. Now, let's say someone have a character called Tara who has gravity manipulation, and I have a character called Shari who has lightning manipulation. Now, if they both simultaneously expanded their domains. Now, obviously, you would think that someone with lightning would just instantly win, or would instantly lose against someone with gravity, but that's not how that would work. If they both expanded their domains, Ashari has an edge over Tara for one of 3 reasons. One, Ashari can also see, coupled with Ashari's understanding, because Ashari's kind of like Tara's sensei, but coupled with her understanding of Naka and Soku, she can, her lightning abilities are also a mutation. So she does have 3 types of lightning. This is kind of getting convoluted, but hey, Ashari was initially an experimental test subject, and she gained normal lightning. So her powers are a mutation of her Naka and her cells. They're not specifically her Naka technique. She also has nuclear lightning, which is when she absorbed a nuclear reactor and then kind of like absorbed the Soku of this girl that they were experimenting on and made her into a nuclear reactor. She just absorbed the nuclear energy and gained nuclear lightning. Then there's her actual Naka technique, which is based off Dark Naka, that I'm not going to go into because that's more complex, and even I don't fully understand how that was. There's a reason I took a break between, like, from writing season 7 to just write everything else because I still don't fully know. Oh, sorry, that's me. I still don't fully know how I want Dark Naka to work. I know how it's gonna work for Ashari, but like I haven't fully thought out that side of the power system. So that's why that's kind of on hiatus for now. I'm just kind of like avoiding it until I've rewritten everything. I've rewritten season 1 and 2. I need to rewrite season 3 and add in like a bunch of changes. But that's kind of why I'm avoiding that, because I don't really know what to do. I've kind of hit a wall. Kind of written myself into a hole with that one. But anyway, why Ashari would win? Yeah, so her innate technique is dark Naka lightning, which is purple lightning essentially. So she would win in that domain clash, not because lightning, like gravity wouldn't be able to like trump over lightning, but because of A, her understanding of Naka and Soku, B, because her mutated lightning powers enable her to be able to see the flows of electrical currents within everything. So she can already perceive that you're about to open your domain and can already perceive your connection between Naka, your Naka, and the Naka of everything around you. Because again, your brain kind of needs to be at your technique is based off in your hypothalamus, and you also have your mesocortex, which also kind of houses your Soku and your soul essentially. So she would be able to read all these impulses and be able to read how you're manipulating the Naka within your area. Now, if she's seeing this, she could obviously overwrite your command over the Naka within that area and then expand her domain and win in that domain clash. I know it sounds convoluted. I know it sounds like a lot of nonsense, but it's mine. Okay, it's mine, and I'm gonna do a part 4 because I'm fully explaining everything about how domains work.